The audio commentary. It's a dying art form, but here at One Track Mind, I, your wonky yet affable host Ryan Luis Rodriguez, analyze film through the prism of these embryonic forms of podcasting, one audio commentary at a time. Masterpieces, crapster pieces, live action, animation, cult classics, films literally no one has ever heard of. No track is too small, and no track is too big. Join me and my guests from the entertainment world as we keep these features alive every other Tuesday. Hey, who else is going to discuss Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey one week and Citizen Kane the next? Us, that's who. Sure, you have to put up with my voice, but there's a certain give and take in this industry. That's One Track Mind, part of the Someone's Favorite Productions family, and available wherever you get your podcasts.
Have you ever wanted to dive deeper into the horror movies you love? Beyond the Blood is a horror podcast for fans who want more than just surface-level screams. We do deep dives into the movies that shaped us, digging into director commentaries, behind-the-scenes stories, deleted scenes, and the special features that most people skip. Each episode is a love letter to the genre. We break down how these films were made, the creative risks that paid off or didn't, and the lasting impact they've had on the genre as a whole. From 70s slashers to modern nightmares, we celebrate the craft, chaos, and characters that keep us coming back. If you're the kind of fan who rewatches movies with the commentary on, or you simply grew up in the video store horror aisle, the Beyond the Blood podcast was made for you. New episodes every single week. Subscribe, and let's dig deep. Welcome to the Beyond the Blood podcast.
And welcome to a very special episode of the On Seagal podcast. I am your host, Trevor Gumbel. Joining me, as always, is the beautiful
Roadrunner, because he never gets caught. That's so says Tommy Lee Jones in Under Siege. No, I am Chris Stachiw. I am here, and like Trevor mentioned, we are joined for the first time on our show. We have our first guest, and it's kind of fitting in a way because. Well, his book, Seagalogy, kind of put me on this path of Seagal to begin with. So there you go. We're talking with the one and only Vern, or per his Zoom name, the Outlaw Vern, or Outlaw Vern.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Vern, I think the question on my mind, on Trevor's mind, on probably people who've read your book, which is available on Amazon, both in Kindle and physical copies. I sit here fucking fumbling my words like an idiot. Why Steven Seagal, Vern?
Well, I love Steven Seagal's movies, especially his early ones, and I love a lot of different action movies. And he's not necessarily my very favorite one, but I just became fascinated with him after mainly because of On Deadly Ground. And after I'd seen On Deadly Ground and all the the political aspects of it, the way he has the big speech about the environment at the end and everything, and a lot of the philosophy that's in it, which everyone made fun of at the time. But to me, it was like very interesting. Like, what is up with this guy who's this action hero and goes out there, and that's how he decides to use his clout, is to make this particular movie. That's such a weird combination of like really awesome action movie and absurd kind of hard on his sleeve corniness. I just really love that movie. And then afterwards, I started seeing a lot of the straight to video ones that he was doing, like in the late 90s, early 2000s. And it fascinated me how much he seemed to have themes that he would do over and over again in these movies, more so than like Bruce Willis or even Jean-Claude Van Damme would be playing a character that's different in each movie. But Seagal seemed to be like, I'm the same guy, except this time I'm ex-Navy SEAL, or this time I'm ex-CIA, or this time I'm helping animals, and this time I'm a chef or whatever.
But always X something. Always.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Always X. X. Yeah, we were
Yeah.
talking
He always
about
goes
that.
he always goes from ex covert operative, military, whatever, to man of peace.
Yeah.
He just wants to
Exactly.
Man of
And
love.
Yeah. And I love that sort of archetype. And so I thought that was so cool. And I literally, there was a point where I literally had a chart that I made where I put different categories like what his background is, whether or not he has an old friend that he hooks up with that gives him advice, and what the politics are of the movie. Like that was on one side, and the other side was like a list of each of his movies. And I was filling in this giant chart. And it just got to a point where I was like, I made up the name Seagalogy, and I just thought if there was a book that existed that looked at all of these movies seriously, like with a sense of humor, but also seriously trying to analyze all those things about it, that would be in itself would be kind of hilarious that it existed, but also would just be like the exact book that I would want to read. And so I spent a long time writing it, and I originally self-published it, and then luckily a publisher was interested in it, and a lot more people got to read it, and yep, that's it.
I was about to say, there's like the pedigree. The people that have vouched for the book are some pretty big names.
Yeah.
You have David Gordon Green, who does the foreword, right, to the book.
Who's become a lot bigger since then, which is pretty cool. But,
yeah,
that was very nice of him to do that. I used to. I'm friends with a guy that works with him, and so I kind of like. He seemed like a big name that I could ask to do it. And then I really didn't know until I asked that he actually was really into Seagal movies and was excited to write it. So that was pretty great.
Then why hasn't he put Seagal on Halloween, damn it? Come on, Mike Myers against Steven Seagal?
It would probably be like Mike Tyson versus Steven Seagal. 5 minutes of a 2.5 hour movie.
We'll get into that.
And also Guillermo del Toro. Also had a pretty nice little byline for your book, which is super cool.
That's a little bit misleading. He that was thanks to Drew McQueenie, who I knew from. I used to write at Ain't It Cool News back then, and he hooked that up. But it was actually originally for a book that I self-published. That was a collection of reviews. So it was a great thing that he said about me that's amazingly flattering and everything. And then the publisher decided that would apply to the Seagal book also. So hopefully he wasn't offended by that. I have no idea if he ever saw it.
He hasn't served you papers yet, has he? So I think he's cool.
Not so far. Some kind of weird paper with tentacles and spirals on it.
Yeah,
let me ask you.
But to be fair, if it's Guillermo del Toro, it may never show up. So it may have gotten lost
an ancient
in the mail.
Manuscript.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
it's lost with his Haunted Mansion project
and the Mountains of Madness project as well, and Halo and all those other things.
Let me ask you. You said you worked for Ain't It Cool News, right? You wrote for Ain't It Cool News.
Yeah, I wouldn't say worked for because they never paid me, but I used to write for them.
Yeah. Did you ever get a chance to write about Seagal while you wrote for them?
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. That was sort of the genesis of it, because I was interested in Seagal, but then also I had a hookup with a video store that I was getting these preview screeners of movies. They were VHS back then.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Seagal ones were coming in. So I was because I was into him, I was watching those and reviewing those because it was something that I could review early before it came out.
Yeah.
And so the process of doing that is kind of what got me more fascinated with him. And
yeah, I used to work at a video store. And we used to get VHS screeners too, but they were only from like the Disney companies.
Mm-hmm.
So we would get stuff from like Miramax and this was back in early 2000. So we got the like Gone in 60 Seconds. We got like the Freddie Prinze Jr. romantic comedies. The one screener, I know this is a little off topic, but the one.
Hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from 3 very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Dev Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast. and also actually recently as part of someone's favorite production podcast network. We hope to see you online.
Screener I used to take home all the time was High Fidelity.
That's because it's a good movie.
It's a great movie, and it was so much so that they just said, just take it, just keep it.
The fucking VHS forever.
I wish we'd have gotten like more like different studio screener films, but like especially with Seagal films, because I definitely want to check that out. Because in the early 2000s, that was like the infancy, I would say, of his like direct-to-video. Because the first direct-to-video I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, Vern, but the first one I remember was The Patriot. And
that was literally the first straight-to-video one he did.
Yeah.
And that's a weird one because it has like one action scene in it, but
it's because he's a doctor, right? Like a doctor and an immunologist or something. Yeah. But then we haven't gotten there yet. I'm excited.
And the villain is one of the guys from the Ernest movies, Gaylord Sartain, I believe.
Oh wow. Yeah, it was around a few years after that. I was reviewing I remember I did Out for a Kill was one of the ones I was excited to review, and Belly of the Beast, which is one that I really love, and up through I think Urban Justice I reviewed, and I forget if that was for Ain't It Cool or if I had left by then, but that might have been the last one I did for then. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
So Vern, I'm curious because again, you again, for a lot of us who like Steven Seagal or are intrigued by him as you are, he seems like an interesting guy. He has his massive personal problems that we have talked about multiple times. We even had a long discussion at the end of the last show about it. Have you ever heard from anyone that he knows about your book?
Early on, even when I had only self-published it, there was, I wish I remembered the name of the person, but somebody emailed me and told me that they had brought 2 copies to get one. They got him to sign it at something. And he had a copy for himself and a copy for his brother who's trying to get signed. And Seagal was like, can I take this? And like talked him into taking it. So that was the first I heard that he supposedly had seen it. And then,
I like this idea that Steven Seagal wouldn't just buy a copy. He wanted it from someone. Can I have this thing you brought to me to have it signed for you?
I think that was the first he knew of its existence because it was, amazing. It was I'd sold a few hundred copies, and then
it's just a very Steven Seagal story. Imagining him sitting there like, can I keep this? Like,
are you going to tell him no? Are you going to be the guy that says Steven Seagal, exactly. No, you can't?
I don't know.
That was how this guy felt.
Yeah.
And then I've heard over the time about supposedly people have told me that they like crew members had the copies of the book on the set of movies and were looking at it and stuff, which kind of in a way kind of disturbed me because I didn't want to. It's like the I always forget the name of the Star Trek rule of not interfering with a society.
Oh, the Prime Directive.
Yeah, the Prime Directive. I don't. Obviously it's not going to happen, but at the time I was like, I wouldn't want them to start being self-consciously looking at the things I was pointing out about the movies, but
I'm surprised that's not the title of a Seagal film yet. Seagal, Prime Directive.
That's true.
That sounds just like a Seagal film.
I mean,
I told you, I've read up to Under Siege, because I want to be fresh and surprised for the podcast, but I was really happy to mention that when you were talking about Out for Justice, you mentioned that was one of your favorite Seagal films, which kind of made me happy because I feel it's kind of underappreciated. I think it doesn't get like the praise that like Marked for Death does, or the Under Siege, because that's more big budget, like you mentioned. But I think Out for Justice, I was reading, I'm like, yeah, it is. It's more grimy, it's dirty, it's dark, it's Seagal just absolutely just tearing ass through. I think Brooklyn was supposed to be. And
I was really well directed.
It is very well directed, surprisingly. And one of my favorite pieces of trivia was Seagal actually going up to William Forsythe and telling him, you really need to work on your accent. To which Forsythe tells him, trust me, you do. And I thought, that's perfect. And considering the director's like previous work, I'm like, wow, that's kind of a jump. Because he was directing, I think, was it commercials?
No, he's done some great. John Flynn, he was a great director. He did Rolling Thunder is his best movie if you've ever seen that. Written by Paul Schrader. That's the total classic. I recommend to anybody.
Yeah.
He let me see. I'm spacing on other good ones he did. He later did that movie Brain Scan, which is kind of a crazy, weird, dark.
Oh my
movie.
God!
Love that film. Love that film.
Wild. It's like the only other thing Edward Furlong's done. I mean,
besides Pet Cemetery too, is that what
and Detroit Rock City?
Oh yeah, okay,
and
fair. Yeah, but I mean, I think of Edward Furlong, I think of one thing. I think the same thing all of us think
agree.
about.
Yeah,
I kind of honestly, Brain Scan. I always forget that he's in Detroit Rock City, but that's like 6 years after Terminator, but that's early 2000.
2000, yeah.
Yeah. So
anyway.
It's like, yeah.
So, I mean, John Flynn...
What another actor. You could write a book about Edward Furlong, I'm sure. Jeez Louise. Interesting guy.
So, I mean, John Flynn, actually, he did direct it with definitely a certain style of just gritty, like, I think you mentioned in the book it was like from the 70s, kind of that kind of filmmaking style.
Yeah, I think so. Like most of it anyway. There's the part where he's confronting the guy with the dog is a little cheesy and stuff, but
Seems like it's from another movie.
Yeah, you mentioned how the pissing on the head at the end is not a good way to cap off your Seagal film.
But I mean, like the opening. I mean, I always go to the opening where he like interrupts the stakeout to go stop the pimp from beating up the hooker. And he grabs him by the tie and throws him through a windshield of a car, and the camera's like inside the car looking up through the hole in the windshield, and it freeze frames on him as it says Steven Seagal. Like so I forget which year, but several years ago I got to be at a marathon at the Cine Family in LA where they showed four Seagal movies, and I was lucky enough to be with them co-hosting it. And we showed that movie, and that moment when that freeze frame happened and it said Steven Seagal, like everyone just went crazy, and it was like the greatest theatrical moment. It was well. It was
now, when you were growing up, I don't know how old you are, but did you like see any Seagal films in the theater, or were they mostly like from rentals?
I didn't start seeing them in the theater until the 90s, like later in the 90s. I didn't. I was actually, people are always surprised I was actually a few years late on Seagal. I didn't get into him until like mid 90s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my first Seagal film was Under Siege in the theater. I mean, my first Seagal film was Under Siege 2.
Actually, that was my favorite. I mean, my first also, and I saw it multiple times because it was great.
Yeah, it's got a great Eric Bogosian performance.
Let's heap a little bit of praise on good old Richard Haddam. He can. His ears are probably burning somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, look, for you, Vern, I'm very curious. In your book, you talk about these different ages of Seagal in his career because, like kind of Trevor's been talking about, there is this delineation from his career in certain spots doing certain things. So we're still kind of, again, we go back and forth, but we're still in this very early Seagal period. For you, out of the first four, before Seagal becomes this kind of big budget actor with Under Siege, which of those first four is kind of the one that you return to the most?
Oh, Out for Justice. But then followed by Hard to Kill. I love Hard to Kill.
Yeah, that's a great movie. The famous line notwithstanding, it is an excellent. Plus, it's got the great Bill Sadler.
Yeah, I was gonna say William Sadler is I think the thing that I like about Hard to Kill that seems strange when you watch it is the lack of a conclusion, but the climax seems a little stifled because he doesn't kill the bad guy. And it's for Seagal, the ones that we've seen so far, that is not the case. I think.
Yeah, you may have read the chapter in my book that I found a shooting script or something for it that had a different version of it where he actually does like an Aikido move on him and flips him and impales his head through the fire. But it makes sense for him.
I mean,
it makes sense for him to not kill him at the end, I think.
Test audiences were shown that, right?
Supposedly. Oh, I'm not sure. Did they? I can't remember.
Supposedly, I mean, that may not have been knowledge when you wrote your book.
Yeah.
I mean, that's But yeah, I was on Wikipedia. I looked. I mean, I would pay money to see that scene.
That sounds pretty great, but I understand why they would have him
I
back
think this
down
was,
at the end.
yeah, I think this is more Seagal making his more political views well known. Like, don't kill politicians. I want them brought to justice.
Don't kill politicians.
That's the simplest way to put it.
I guess.
I mean,
he's a very varied man, Steven Seagal.
Well, you
back then he didn't believe in it.
Right.
You described him as like progressive back in the 90s, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of
and now thinking to today's Seagal, it's like
very progressive. Like just so progressive, in fact.
Yeah, he wants to progress Putin to.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, you know what? I mean,
I may have made some mistakes there in my interpretations with that.
But one of my favorite Seagal clips is of him in an interview, and every time he says Vladimir Putin, it's just. Have you? I don't know if you've seen that clip, Vern.
Oh, does he do an accent or something?
He goes, Vladimir Putin.
So the answer is yes.
Yeah.
He
loves code switching. He's a master of code switching.
Exactly.
He is.
Sometimes he's Italian American. Sometimes he's Russian. Sometimes he's from the Bayou or something. Yeah,
but always American because that's what gives him the out to have
he
less
always
than
has
great accent
because he always has the connection in the family with whatever he's trying to convey. Like especially now for justice and all that with the mob ties or the Asian connections or in Hard to Kill how he's I believe you said he's shown to be Catholic but he starts doing like these Asian Buddhist healing
a
techniques.
Shrine and stuff.
Exactly. In her friend's house, which gets fucked up beyond repair.
And the horse gets loose too.
It's true.
It's like
I hope
Airbnb will not stay there again.
So, Vern, we're going to talk about Under Siege a little bit. But I'm curious for you, Vern, as again, as the man who wrote the book on the man who would need books written about him to decode what he's all about in a lot of ways. I'm curious for you when Seagal goes from small budget films to the big budget action star of Under Siege. In your mind, is it a failure or does it or where do you come down on his big budget portion of his career?
Good question. I wouldn't call it a failure. I love those movies, but my personal preference is for the earlier ones because we get to, Under Siege we'll talk about, this is like a great movie and one of the best Die Hard ripoffs, which is a subgenre that I enjoy a lot.
Yeah.
And but I'm much, based on his talent specifically is this, in addition to whatever you think of his screen presence, it's also like this what was then very novel style of hand-to-hand combat that he introduced in the movies. And so to me, it's much more exciting to see him in an alley, like fighting some guys with his hand movements and going into the meat store and stabbing the guy with the sausage and all that stuff. And, for justice, it's more, and beating a guy with a bat as opposed to in this movie, we see a lot of, firing a missile that explodes and the helicopter comes in and blows up and stuff like that, which is all fun, cool action stuff. But I feel like it's not as specific to what he's really good at. Like just kind of the street level action is more what I'm into.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's a great film. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely a lot more polished and a lot more audience accessible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is why a lot of people that haven't seen as many of them think that's his best movie or like that one the best.
Jean-Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal, similar careers in a way, right? They both do martial arts and they are action stars. They are both practicing, martial artists and also action stars in action movies. Is it not a good idea then as a martial artist to go into movies where they expect you to use guns all the time? Is that what this is? Because I kind of feel like Seagal's movies that I've seen that are heavy in the gunplay are just not that interesting. They're just kind of...
Yeah. Obviously he seems to love guns if you watch his weird police reality show and stuff.
Yeah. A thing that actually exists in our reality.
So, but yeah, as for me as a viewer, I much prefer seeing martial art. Like I can't think of a Seagal movie where this happens, but I love that cliche of like two guys have guns on each other and they decide to put the guns down and have a martial arts duel. I'm with you. Like I much prefer to see that. And Van Damme does it too. I mean, like I recently watched Double Impact again, which is a great movie, and
Right.
but a lot of that is like trying to copy the Hong Kong style of shootouts and stuff. Or Hard Target has some good gun stuff in it, obviously, but it also has him doing spin kicks and that's what I want to see.
Jean-Claude Van Damme dancing and doing the splits is my nirvana. I mean, if I could just watch that clip on loop for the rest of my life, I mean, it is, the look on his face is just, I think the other thing for me a little bit, and as we're, approaching talking about Under Siege, it seems like early on, Seagal wasn't taking himself as seriously as he does now. And like Under Siege, he's still having fun. Under Siege 2, but there comes a point where it seems like he cannot, he starts being unable to let people write comedy for him, or even like quips. And it's like strange because, I mean, in something like Under Siege, they're pretty good. They're a little stilted and weird, but they're still funny and like they're still good one-liners.
Oh yeah, the cooking related.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I also cook. That's great. I thought you said you're a cook. Yeah. Well, I also cook. I noticed rewatching this that there's a lot of like him with his cooking staff joking around, and it seems kind of improv, like dudes joking around with bros joking around with each other kind of stuff. Like he seems kind of better at that than delivering.
Yeah.
Comedic
That's one of the things I noticed about the film is like when Seagal is like acting lighthearted and joking around with his buddies, I'm like, I found that kind of really fun. Interesting. That was the personality of Seagal I kind of wanted to see more of. But as soon as they put his ass in the freezer, it kind of, his team does get killed. So I guess there's really nothing to joke about there. But it's definitely something of Seagal I definitely look for when I see his films. It's like, is there any part of his personality where he's, showing more of a accessible person, I guess you could say, because in his films, I think, would I be able to approach this man and talk to him? Or would he look at me with a death stare and make me piss my pants? So I always kind of look for that in every Seagal film that I watch.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the appeal. And then also what makes some people dislike him is that he's just like a very weird, strange man that's not a regular person.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
I mean, don't you think?
I love that. That is the most perfect way to describe him. I mean, he like Schwarzenegger, Stallone, I get the sense of, like, even with Bruce Willis, like I get the sense of who they are as a person for the most part. Like I can form in my mind kind of who they probably are. I could not tell you about Steven Seagal. Like he is a genuinely like befuddling human being.
And I think that's part of the appeal. That's part of like, it's like he's literally a man with, not a man with no name, a man with no background. And
I mean, we've kind of made that Clint Eastwood comparison before.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, where it's like, is Steven Seagal kind of trying to do the modern day Clint Eastwood thing?
I don't think he has to try. I think that's definitely what he is. I think that's just how he is as a person.
At least I think he's screaming at a chair, at least.
Being mysterious. I'm talking about Steven Seagal, not Clint Eastwood, by the way.
I was about to say,
and sort of, he. I don't think I've ever seen him name drop Clint Eastwood. He talks about like Robert Mitchum and stuff, but
right.
He definitely seems like there's a line delivery, especially in his early ones, is very Eastwood.
Yeah. Especially like something like Dirty Harry or some of his like other spaghetti western stuff, or even his. It's. I don't know. Yeah, like you said, Vern. There's just this thing about Seagal that it's just an intangible thing. But what I've never been able to kind of understand is, when did people stop caring about what made Steven Seagal intangible? It's strange, right? At some point, people stopped caring. I mean, that's why his movies stopped being successful, at least from a box office.
Yeah, I think a lot of people turned against him for On Deadly Ground, which is funny because it's like the thing they were making fun of is actually the thing that he was undeniably correct about with
Right.
his speech about the environment.
100%. Last week, Steven Seagal was like, the report is out and I am vindicated for On Deadly Ground.
But that's part of why his current existence is really like disappointing to me, is just like, of all the things, the fact that he now will support people that deny climate change and stuff like that. It's like, that seemed like something that he for real believed in, and I guess it doesn't matter that much to him anymore.
Yeah,
he's a Buddhist. At least he's a self-proclaimed Buddhist.
Yeah.
Which I know a couple self-proclaimed Buddhists, and those self-proclaimed Buddhists, I have asked them about Steven Seagal, and they have said, yeah, he's not a Buddhist. So I don't know. I mean, for me, yeah, On Deadly Ground, I mean, I've seen it. I did an episode on my other show about it. I can understand why people would turn their back on him for that. But yeah, it is like there's some cognitive dissonance going on, because yeah, he's reading that newspaper in Cyrillic in a country that doesn't support climate change, and this is the guy who wanted to put a 2-hour speech about climate change at the end of his movie.
Yeah.
I've
always wondered. I've always wondered if that's true about how long the original version was. I don't know. I've never been able to verify that, but I've heard that.
That's always been a kind of a long going rumor, is like, did Steven Seagal actually have a longer cut of that speech that,
supposedly.
I'd be hard pressed to not believe it, because it seems like something Steven Seagal would do. This isn't saying it as like an insult to the guy. It's just that when Steven Seagal is passionate about something, he's hard to stop.
Oh, that's a good title for a Seagal movie. Hard to stop.
Yeah, I think hard to kill's a.
I don't know. I mean, hard
he
to
did
stop.
Out for a Kill. He can do variations on it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Well, yeah, wasn't one of our first recent Seagal films just another variant on another title?
Beyond the Law.
Beyond the Law. That was
Beyond the Law. Yeah. They changed one word, Trevor, and you're going to give me a hard time about me changing one word? That sounds like something too close to Above the Law or Beyond the Law.
Hey, this is our rapport, man.
Yeah, it's fair.
This is what people tune in for. I forgot what I was going to say. Damn it.
Do you think? I mean, I wonder how pissed Seagal was when this is the height of his career, right? Vern, you would agree. This is like the peak. Seagal. I mean, they give the guy the directorship of this movie,
and
it must have broken his heart.
And this was like one of the greatest actors who ever lived playing the villain. And you think, wow, this might actually.
Michael Caine did not know what he was getting himself into.
It's the Jaws. I think Michael Caine takes the Jaws the Revenge thought process of it, where when regarding to Jaws the Revenge, Michael Caine says, I haven't seen it. By all accounts, it's terrible, but I have seen the house it built, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So I have to say, I enjoy Jaws the Revenge also. So
I like that.
I may be.
I haven't seen it, so I can't pass judgment.
You helped build that house, Vern. Just think.
I'm the audience for Michael Caine's Just for the Money filmography.
Hey, there are people out there. I mean, look, Michael Caine is fun and On Deadly Ground. He might not think so, but he's fucking great in that movie.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about a lot of Seagal films, is that they've had some of the most entertaining villains. Like William Forsythe, as one note as the villain was, just a guy who wants to fuck things up and cause chaos, doesn't want anything else. He's just a crackhead on a rampage. He was still fun to watch because William Forsythe is playing it to the hilt. Coming on to Under Siege, Tommy Lee Jones, one of my favorite actors, just absolutely having a ball playing this I think he was like ex Secret Service or ex CIA or ex Special Forces. Who the disguise is he's a promoter or something like that in a blues band or something.
Yeah, Bad Billy and the Bail Jumpers.
Bad Billy and the Bail Jumpers. Yeah. And his fake harmonica skills are second to none. And then on the same film you have Gary Busey, who it's Gary Busey, and like you said in the film, he can't play anything but a villain unless he's playing Buddy Holly.
Yeah, and Cole Meany also. Supporting. Yeah, that's a great.
Cole Meany is just a just a great actor. I love Cole Meany. He plays the asshole so well. I mean, see Con Air. He just plays it so perfectly. Yeah, I mean, Under Siege is it's a fun movie.
Yeah, a thing that I really noticed watching it the other day is normally in a movie when they have those scenes where they cut away to the war room where all the generals are talking about what's going on, that's usually like the boring part of the movie where you're kind of like wanting to get back to the other stuff. But in Under Siege it really works. Like those scenes they're corny, but they're like exciting scenes.
Yeah.
Like
and you got to give credit to Nick Mancuso. Playing Tom Breaker was his name?
Breaker, yeah.
Tom Breaker.
CIA bastard.
CIA bastard. The funny thing is, the only thing I'd known Nick Mancuso from was this or the Apocalypse films from the early 2000s. Do you remember those, Vern, at all?
No, is it like a Christian thing?
It's a Christian fundamentalist thing, and he plays the Antichrist.
Cool.
To which actually, one of the films is called Tribulation, and it stars Gary Busey, Margot Kidder, and Howie Mandel. And
as the president.
Yeah, right.
Actually, I think one of the films was called Judgment, and it had Corbin Burnson and Jessica Steen, and I think Mr. T is in it as a bailiff.
Behind movies? Is that what you're talking about?
No, these are the Apocalypse films. It's called the Apocalypse trilogy or whatever.
Is Mr. T the president?
He might as well be. I mean,
I would vote for Mr.
It's about as idiocracy as it can get. So yeah, go ahead, make Mr.
And for
T
the
president.
for the record, Trevor, this is from the makers of Left Behind. Apparently, this was something else they worked on that sounds just like the same. What the fuck?
I was excited when I learned. I always look up when I'm writing about a movie. I always look up IMDb's of everyone and try to find the weirdest things that they've been in. And
I love that. About the book is that you connect people Seagal has worked with before at the end of the chapters.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah,
and apparently it happens more often than I thought it did.
Yeah, especially there's a lot of stuntmen that'll end up repeating, obviously. But but I was excited to learn that Nick Mancuso is the voice on the phone in the original Black Christmas. He's like
right. I remember you mentioning that
the weird voice that you hear, Billy or whatever.
Billy, yeah. So for you, Vern, I mean, again, we have this area of Seagal's career from Under Siege, On Deadly Ground, Under Siege 2, Executive Decision, The Glimmer Man, and Fire Down Below. This is this kind of next set of his movies. Is Under Siege the best of all of them? Is it the most competently made, or is On Deadly Ground kind of where you hang your hat?
Well, if you're saying competently made, then it might be Under Siege. I love On Deadly Ground because of I'm sure you'll do an episode about it soon, but it's like, I think it has the feel of a legitimate big studio action movie with a lot of cool stuff in it. And it has all these great, like you mentioned Michael Caine, but there's also like early Billy Bob Thornton, and he gets some funny lines that seem improvised, and like Arlie Ermy has like some incredible dialogue in that movie. And
John C. McGinley.
John C. McGinley, yeah, that's what I was trying to think. It's such a fun movie, and then also it has this kind of all the political stuff that I mentioned, and kind of like we haven't. You'll get to the scene. There's a scene I absolutely love where he gets in this bar fight with Mike Starr, the character Mike Starr, Mike Starr. And
I love Mike Starr. He is so.
And the point of this, he's like humiliates him, and then kind of they make up and talk about the possibility for change in a man's life, and I absolutely love that, because that's so like, who does that in an action movie? And a lot of people think like that's a negative thing, but to me it's like, that's awesome. I want to see something like that in an action movie. So that's why that one's my favorite. But
do you think that would have changed the outcomes of like Marked for Death or Out for Justice if after the bar fights he just tried to talk to the bartender? What about Finding Nico or Finding Richie?
That scene in On Deadly Ground, I think I mentioned it on my show when we did the episode. I think for me, it's like the best thing that Seagal has done is that scene in On Deadly Ground.
if I had to pick, you can't really pick your favorite scene out of an entire career where you like a lot of the movies, but that's definitely, if I had to, that might be it. I love that scene.
It I think for me it speaks to, in my mind, what Seagal either was all about, or I think now in a lot of ways, again with the cognitive dissonance, especially with his environmental message kind of getting lost. To me, it seems like that scene is either what Seagal was or what Seagal aspires to be or believes in, like at his core being is like, we can all do better, and like he just doesn't subscribe to that, it doesn't seem, in a lot of ways anymore.
Yeah.
But it's like a very touching scene in a way that like a scene in a movie with Michael Caine with shoe polish hair dye on doesn't normally, like that 9 times out of 10 that's not in that kind of movie.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I love about it.
I think one thing we should mention is that, you know, a lot of credit has to be given to some of the directors he's worked with, like especially with Andrew Davis, who he worked with I believe his first film,
Above the Law,
with Above the Law and Under Siege. And Andrew Davis has proven himself to be just a very competent action director. He knows how to film shots and how to make Seagal look good. And
I mean, he made Harrison Ford a believable action star. Well, I mean, Harrison Ford is a good action star in the things that he's in, but I would not consider Harrison Ford an action star, because if you look at the way Indiana Jones throws a punch, it looks like an actor throwing a punch. I believe in The Fugitive that Harrison Ford is an action star, and I give Andrew Davis all that credit because of his direction is impeccable in The Fugitive. The Fugitive is a almost perfect movie in a lot of ways.
It's a terrific film. Mm-hmm. I mean, like I said, Andrew Davis, I don't think gets enough credit as a director, as a competent action director. He's not as over the top style as like John Woo, or even Michael Bay. But then again, that guy's more style than substance. But I think he's definitely he knows about pacing, and I think that makes for a lot, especially in a Seagal film.
Yeah, I think he's good with kind of a texture to his movies also, where like in Above the Law, he really creates this. He's from Chicago, and he really treats Chicago like, the cliche is like treating the city like a character, but he really establishes this world of like these, when Seagal is fighting a guy in an alley, you hear like a dog barking down the street and a guy up in a building yelling down at him and stuff like that. He really creates this world, and he does the same thing in this with the just the world of this aircraft carrier and all the people that are working on it, and like the people, the kitchen staff, and all the soldiers over here. And
he makes you care about the minorest of characters with which seems effortless the way he does it, because they're only on screen for like a minute or two, and they get sporadic scenes throughout the film, but you still kind of want them to make it out of this alive. Like especially the crew he rescues from the one brig. And they're the ones that help them like do that big shootout. So I think you're right about Chicago being a character. Like he did that again in The Fugitive. I remember the great overhead shots of downtown Chicago, especially during St. Patrick's Day. Beautifully done. And
Code of Silence also, which is weirdly similar to Above the Law, but with Chuck Norris, and there's a robot in it. But
and it has Henry Silva, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has Henry Silva as the bad guy and everything. It's a good, one of the better Chuck Norris. Yeah,
I kind of like Chain Reaction. That's another Andrew Davis movie.
Oh yeah, and I haven't seen it since it came out. Where I was disappointed at the time, but I definitely revisit that sometime.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like it has
Keanu
Rachel
Reeves,
Weisz,
Rachel Weisz, Morgan Freeman,
very early on in her career. Good lord.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but it's got Keanu Reeves, Rachel Weisz, Morgan Freeman.
Hasn't done anything since 2006 though.
Really?
So, nope. Last movie that he did was The Guardian, that Ashton Kutcher, Kevin Costner movie.
Oh, you mean it's not the William Friedkin film about the possessed tree?
No.
No.
So it's a remake.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Ashton Kutcher plays the tree. That's his range.
Yeah.
So Vern, with Under Siege, we have a movie like Trevor's mentioned that has Tommy Lee Jones opposite Steven Seagal. And we've seen now, with the movies that we've either talked about for our show or we've seen, in our own time or, in our own lives, we notice that, like Trevor mentioned, Seagal, when he's up against someone who is a great actor, seems to really flourish as an action star too, like especially in Under Siege 2 with Eric Bogosian and this with Tommy Lee Jones. It's a little disappointing to see in his more recent stuff they don't give that some thought like they do here, because I would contend that Tommy Lee Jones is as good as Seagal is in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, he's now working in a world where, partly because of the way budgets have gone and partly because of his own personal choices, that he's probably filming scenes all by himself and not, like the people that are playing the villains are people that could come in for 4 days for a certain amount of money or whatever, and so it's not going to be the same thing, obviously.
Well, I mean, they can't afford the pedigree of actors like they could back when he was in his prime.
It's just unfortunate to see it now. Like, he plays well off of all these people. Like, Gary Busey and Steven Seagal play really well off of each other.
I mean, Gary Busey, from the beginning, there's no hiding. This guy's a prick. I mean, like, it's not when it's revealed that he's one of them, you think, you're thinking, well, that's not really a surprise. He's an asshole.
I was thinking when he after he has been wearing the dress and the fake boobs, and which made some guy say that, like, oh, I guess he's really cool after all, which I didn't understand. One of the
he's letting his hair down, Vern. Don't you get it?
But then,
he did let his hair down. Oh, sorry.
In the scene after that, where he's talking to the captain or whatever, the guy is the captain, and he's still wearing the thing. It made me think of that scene in Pee-wee's Big Adventure where after they get through the roadblock, and he's still like dressed as a woman afterwards, and he's okay with it. But
and he's looking at him with like that really creepy look. While Pee-wee's still wearing the dress. Is that what the one you're talking about?
Yeah, well, just like the kind of I like I love that movie, obviously, but the idea that it doesn't seem unusual to him at all. He's not not uncomfortable wearing the wig.
Part of me kind of wishes he'd have stayed in the outfit for the entirety of the film. That would definitely, I don't know, that would have made it more interesting.
With Seagal, though, we have this thing where it's like he really plays well with these other character actors.
Yeah, he does.
But Vern, I'm curious because I have my own opinion, and I'm curious what yours is. Steven Seagal and his romantic leads in the movie is you've seen all the movies. We haven't seen all of them yet. We're working through them. Is there ever a believable romantic comedy? That's an idea. Romantic comedy with Steven Seagal. Good God. Is there ever a romantic lead that he gets along with? Because Erica Eleniak sure is not one of them.
Can I say something real quick, Vern, before you answer? That was the most out of nowhere, unnecessary ending scene of a movie. It's like
kiss at the end.
The kiss. I'm like, where the fuck did that come from?
I bet Erica Eleniak is still asking herself that.
There's
nothing leading up to it at all.
I mean, I guess the only answer would be Kelly LeBrock, because they're married at the time or shortly afterwards, I forget. But even then, it's kind of weird. And then, once you get into some of the prime DTV, like the better DTV stuff, they still have like a lot of weird things where he has a woman that's much younger than him, and there's a weird kissing scene that she seems uncomfortable in.
She felt uncomfortable. We felt uncomfortable. You felt uncomfortable.
Exactly,
Everybody's uncomfortable.
It's just a bad feeling all around. Speaking of uncomfortable,
we can't remove who Seagal is not in the movie from him in the movie in some respects.
Well,
I know who he is. So,
well, whenever he's paired up with a younger woman in a film, you have to think to yourself, that has to be Seagal's input. This is not from This is all Seagal.
You definitely get that. It's easy to assume.
There's this one scene in Hard to Kill where we first meet Kelly LeBrock, and Steven Seagal is in his coma, and she basically
checks him out.
Yeah. Doesn't she like almost sexually assault him?
Very civil of you.
And she makes a pun.
Yeah, and she's like
cat.
she's very unprofessional as nurses go. Like, this woman should have been fired a long time ago. Very
choice.
unethical. But since, she's Kelly LeBrock and she was still in her prime hotness, guys will want to see that and think to themselves, well, I wish I was in a coma.
What?
Yeah. Wish I was in a coma with Kelly LeBrock.
Well, I'll say this not really in his defense, but I was lucky enough to be able to see his band play one time years ago. It's in the back of the book, my review of the show. And afterwards he signed autographs, and I was next to these two women who were so into him, and they were
gushing.
They had a towel, a sweat towel that he had thrown into the crowd, and one of them had caught it. And they were asking other people in line if they had a knife, and somebody had a knife so they could cut it in half so that each of them could get one half of it. So
yeah, now that knife has Seagal sweat on it.
So my only point being that there are, because of his movie stardom, I guess, but there are some people that do find him very attractive. So I guess
let's talk about his music and his placement of his music in the film, because one of the last episodes we did was called Attrition, and at the end of the film, suddenly they're in a dance club with Steven Seagal's band playing, and they're all dancing and just enjoying it. And I didn't realize like how much of his music he made part of his films, how early in his career he did it. I thought that was more of a recent thing.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently he's been doing it since like, I think the Out for Justice days or before then.
There's a lot of songs that he is involved in and stuff.
And they're not terrible by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, it's easy to say, haha, Seagal being a musician, he sucks. But, I've heard a lot worse. I mean, that's not high praise, but they're not bad. I mean,
yeah, that was the amazing thing about seeing his band is like you're looking up there and he's wearing like an orange sleeveless like Asian style shirt. Yeah, like you would imagine he would be wearing, and he's playing a flying V guitar, and he's very tall. You're seeing him in person and going, "Holy shit, that's Steven Seagal." There's like people there with their Out for Justice laser disc they want to get signed and stuff. and his, I mean, to my amateur ears, like it seemed like he was a really good like guitar player, and definitely his band was really, really tight. Like his band was definitely good, and so it was a very surreal experience.
Yeah.
And then he's singing, and he has a song called Alligator Ass and different like and he's not as good of a singer as he is a guitar player, but you're hearing that, you can tell that's Steven Seagal's voice singing, and it's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and Stevie Wonder worked with him on that 2005 album. So
yeah, I think he plays harmonica if I remember right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the thing about Seagal, there are these things about him that, to your point, Trevor, would be kind of, low-hanging fruit. And I think that, again, it's because of who Seagal is, not what he's doing. Like, we've seen tons of actors go and have, pretty fruitful music careers, or vice versa, musicians becoming actors. But yeah, I mean, once it's, like you said, Vern, there's 6'4" Steven Seagal sitting with his fucking guitar. It's like, okay, this is a little different. This is not. The dude's a weird guy,
but he's fascinating. That's the thing.
And I've always been fascinated with the way every time he does get into a new thing, he kind of claims to have always been like, he'll have a story about like, when I was a kid, I was sitting on the porch with this blues man who taught me such and such, just the same way. I mean, the story is a lot of what he says about Japan is verifiable, that he really was one of the first, he says the first Westerner to run a dojo, and that in Japan, and that kind of came through being married to the daughter of the owner, from what I understand. But it is a real thing that he really was there. But then he also claims to have known the founder of Aikido, but there are photos of him like seeing him speak, and but then also he claims to have at one time he's claimed to have been in the CIA, and then when he started getting into playing Russian mobsters, it was like he started talking about how he had Russian background, which hadn't been a thing before. And when he wrote a book a few years ago, and in that it claims that has Native American blood in him, which I don't think he had ever claimed, even in the movies where he was married to Native American women and stuff. So
when he was wearing Native American garb, I mean,
yeah. So he's always kind of evolving what his backstory is, which is if it was a guy that I hung out with, it would make me very uncomfortable. But when it's a guy whose movies I watch, it's interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like if you were around this person and they were sitting with you at a table and he started spouting all this, you'd be like, oh damn, look at the time. I gotta catch a cab.
Or you would just be like, what are you? You're full of shit. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but you don't know how dangerous that person is.
And that's the I mean, I think that's the thing about Seagal, that like if I'm sitting here thinking about all the other action stars, his contemporaries, Van Damme, there's no question where that guy's from. Schwarzenegger, there's no question where Schwarzenegger's from. Stallone, kind of no question where Stallone is from. But Seagal, it is weird if you think about it, and it's interesting. Seagal can kind of play all these different, like you said, Vern, Russian or Native American. Like, to his credit, I kind of just believe him, because there's something about him that just
what
seems...
he's into now.
Yeah,
but part of you wants to believe it, because
it's movies.
It adds
it makes it more exciting. Yeah,
it adds to the mystique of the actor, not just the character.
Yeah.
I mean,
but he does it, like you said, Vern. He does it in all kinds of stuff. Like, thinking about it now, like the whole Russia thing does kind of feel like an extension of his Russia movies in a way. Because like whenever I think of his DTV stuff, especially his like mid 2000s, I just think of like this was probably shot in Eastern Europe somewhere.
Yeah, most likely. I mean,
have a good relationship with the countries you shoot your movies in.
Yeah. And I mean, probably cheaper to film there too.
Well, yeah. They're filming in Bulgaria for a reason. It's not because they want to fly everybody on the crew to Bulgaria.
Let me ask you a question, Vern.
Sure.
There's a lot of talk in your book about, his co-star buddies in the film, people who play his friends, his confidants. Who do you think was like the strongest and the best confidant he had in a film?
Probably Keith David in Marked for Death.
Yeah,
that's like maybe the only one where the guy is like, where the sidekick guy is of equal badassness, pretty much.
Well, yeah, because it's Keith David.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't really see his friend in Hard to Kill being a badass, because wasn't that the guy who played the cop in Wayne's World?
Oh yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he could give you a body cavity search, but I don't think he could, kick your ass like Seagal can. Yeah. He's definitely.
Okay, hold on. I have a question, Vern. Speaking of questions. Okay, this is something that Trevor and I have noticed in almost every movie we've watched, at least the later ones and the more recent movies of the early ones, and definitely his later stuff that were like the recent stuff. Seagal never lets his opponent get much, like the final boss of the movie, the final villain. They have a very protracted fight scene. Like, Seagal doesn't want to look weak when he fights someone in a movie. Is that something that like you have noticed too, or is that just a weird coincidence?
No, I think that's definitely his style, is to be like the unstoppable tank bulldozer, that plows through everyone. And I think this is kind of controversial. Like, a lot of people like to say that the only way to do it is like the Die Hard style of like, if they're really vulnerable and they get injured and it's really difficult for them, that's the only way to do a good action star. And I think usually that is the case, but also Seagal is an example in his best movies of where it can be cool to see the guy that you just know, oh man, they're in trouble now because, Nico or whoever is coming in and is going to take care of this.
Yeah.
Or another example I like to point to is Blood and Bone with Michael Jai White. If you've ever seen that, I highly recommend Blood and Bone, starring Michael Jai White. It's like a 2009, I think, is when it came out. It's a straight-to-video movie, and it's kind of in the tradition of the great, like the best Van Damme movies. It's like an underground fighting movie, but Michael Jai White is the guy who just absolutely plows through every opponent that comes after him, and it's you are never upset that he doesn't get injured. It's always fun to watch.
What's funny, Vern, is when you say it that way, it kind of doesn't bother me. because it's almost like some of the best James Bond movies, he doesn't fight the villain. Like, I mean, in a way, I think the issue that maybe I've had and I've never voiced it correctly is if there's a final villain, like say in Under Siege 2, right? You have Eric Bogosian, who is not a physical threat to Steven Seagal. I think the three of us would agree. Yeah. Steven Seagal would turn Eric Bogosian inside out.
Unless they were doing a monologue.
Right, sure, exactly. Playing to his strengths, one might say. Yeah. But yet Everett Gill in that movie is the heavy. I think my issue in some of these movies with Seagal is there is no secondary villain, no heavy. And I think if you have the heavy and Seagal fight, and then it's okay, they had like a brawling fight, and then you have the other guy out in the background waiting or watching, hoping that his guy wins. I think that would fix it, because every time Seagal gets in like a fight with someone, it's like they're dead immediately. I'm just like, whoa, guys, like let this climax breathe a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. That is kind of the style of like the bad guy in Hard to Kill. It's like he's a sleazeball and he's mean to women and drinks champagne in the hot tub, and you hate him like he's a piece of shit, but he's not necessarily like you don't ever believe he's going to be able to take on Seagal physically.
No.
So that's just kind of the style, is like you want to see him eventually get past all the henchmen and then just destroy that guy, and then he doesn't in that case. But that said, Under Siege, the final fight with Tommy Lee Jones, you wouldn't expect it, but like that's a great knife fight scene. It's pretty short, but it seems convincing that Tommy Lee Jones is like a good knife fighter, and like
Yeah. Plus, they mentioned his background as special forces.
Yeah.
So it gives him some credibility, and plus that knife in the head, and then right to the screen. That was great.
And they're both bluesmen, so they have a lot in common.
Right.
Another thing,
right, of course.
Another thing I noticed about is Under Siege is that it's different in the fact that Seagal has more help in this one. Usually in his films, he more is a loner, works alone, kicks ass alone, all that stuff. Only goes to his friend when he needs like information, like exposition. But in Under Siege, he actually has people helping him, also with guns, also fighting. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of it's more different from the usual Seagal film. I'm surprised Seagal was okay with it.
Like that. Surprised he was okay with it.
Well, would you disagree?
No, again, we have this theory that like Seagal doesn't like ceding control of the screen to anyone else, and I don't think it's a theory. I think that's what's going on.
But it was kind of it was refreshing to see him part of a ensemble rather than lone army,
Yeah.
Except, I think that's also why it's not really my favorite.
Understandable.
Yeah. They give Erika Eleniak's character a lot more time than I would have thought they should.
I have a question for you about her, because I've never been able to understand this. At the end, do you think she's supposed to have enlisted because she's wearing a sailor outfit at the funeral? And it seems like they wouldn't be still having the funeral without having gone ashore, would they?
Well, she didn't have any other clothes, so we're like, just put this on.
But they're having the funeral before going ashore and letting her leave? Like,
yeah,
that's what I don't understand.
Go figure.
I have no idea.
I've never understood. I've always wondered which of. I feel like it either means that what you're saying, that they put the clothes on her, but then why would they be having the funeral?
Not now? A clue.
Or it might be like she discovered what a badass she is in that experience, and now she's enlisted and working on.
She killed one guy.
Do you know what I wonder?
Yes, but she became very serious though.
It's true. Yeah. You know what I find strange? You're talking about her costume. Her costume in the movie is very strange because they're just like, okay, here, like look like a male sidekick.
Oh, when she has a hat on backwards and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I was just sitting there thinking to myself, like, was this originally written for a male sidekick? Because
that would make the stripper subplot a lot more interesting.
But it would make sense as to why that kind of is just like that is just in addition to, they could have just had a band come onto the boat.
I think it's just supposed to be her arc, that she goes from being like a helpless person to discovering that she can handle herself, and so they visually represent that by having her be wearing tough guy clothes. And
plus I like how you mentioned how it kind of brings the ET thing full circle. being that in Hard to Kill, they're watching the Oscars and his son wants E.T. to win. And Erica Leniak's in E.T. and
That's true.
full circle to Erica Leniak in Under Siege being your sidekick.
It all ties together.
There it go. Man, there you go. Maybe Ben Kingsley from Gandhi will
back in the day when he was making real movies, he would have been a good, when Seagal was making real movies, that would have been a good villain.
When Seagal was making real movies.
Like Under Siege 3 Kingsley would have been a good choice for him.
I'm kind of surprised that it never happened, given, I mean, again, we talked about it before we started recording, but Trevor and I are friends with Rich Haddam, who wrote Under Siege 2. Under Siege 2 started out as something else. It was not Under Siege 2. Under Siege was put on that script, and it turned into an Under Siege script. I wonder if they kicked the idea around for Under Siege 3 at some point. I would assume that they did, because Under Siege 2 was a financial success.
Yeah, there's been a lot of rumors over the years about different supposed ideas they suppose they had, but
I wouldn't be surprised if they had an Under Siege 3 script and it just became another film entirely. Because that happened a lot in the 90s. There was even a Lethal Weapon script that became Die Hard with a Vengeance through, we
got 5 Die Hards and we only got 2 Under Sieges. What really is the travesty here?
I mean, there's only a certain
there's actually only 4 Die Hards.
Is it?
3.5.
Oh God!
I'm just kidding. I just don't acknowledge. I don't acknowledge the 5th one.
Wait, there was a 5th one. I didn't never heard of it.
The one with
there's no 5th one.
No, there's no 5th one.
The 5th one with John Courtney, bro.
Chris,
I'm not going to let them get away with it. They made that movie. They made that choice. They released a goddamn movie. We all know how hard it is to make a fucking movie. It doesn't just sprout out of the wellspring of someone's mind. They sat on set for days filming that movie, and someone said, "Yeah, this is good."
Vern, I don't know if you can see behind me, but I have a Blu-ray Die Hard collection that in a Nakatomi Tower gift set.
And it has 4 movies in it.
It has 4 movies in it and a bonus disc of a fan film that, wasn't very good.
Fan film that just happens to include Bruce Willis.
Yeah, he's not exactly expensive anymore.
Apparently not. No.
Some fan director named John Moore who wanted to make his own he made his own Omen fan film. He made,
Oh wow.
He made a Max Payne fan film.
Is it interesting that Bruce Willis's career has kind of morphed into Seagal's too? It's kind of gone that same path, right? I mean, Bruce Willis is in a lot of direct to streaming stuff now, right?
Yeah.
He's like the guy I see on the DVDs now that I would have seen in the 2000s were Seagal. If you went to Walmart and looked down their DVD aisle, it's Bruce Willis straight to DVD movies. I guarantee you in the mid 2000s, it was Seagal's movies.
Yeah, he's very prolific.
And that's kind of upsetting because I love Bruce Willis. The man is...
I agree.
The man is just... He's got personality. He's kept mostly his figure. But the problem with him is it just... He doesn't seem to give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
I would go as far as to say that the worst thing that Bruce Willis ever did was be in Die Hard. Because it typecast him for the rest of his career. And he was not an action star.
I mean, he was still able to do Pulp Fiction and The Sixth Sense and all kinds of. He had his whole quiet, sad Bruce movies,
but I would contend he might have had those earlier if he had never been an action star. I mean, he was in Moonlighting. I mean, that was hyper popular. I mean, I think for Bruce Willis making Die Hard, it vaults him to the fame and fortune of Die Hard for fuck's sake. But it typecast.
It also began the epidemic of Die Hard on a. Wow. Die Hard on a this, Die Hard in a that.
I don't consider that an epidemic at all. I consider it a grand tradition.
Well, I mean...
It's interesting, Vern. So in your mind, what is the best version of that? Is it Under Siege?
That's a good question. I mean, Under Siege is obviously one of the best, but I sort of prefer Under Siege 2, honestly. I'm a big fan of Under Siege 2. Dark Territory.
I like that.
Speed is obviously a great one. I enjoy Sudden Death, Jean-Claude Van Damme version. Yep. Not to be confused with Welcome to Sudden Death with Michael Jai White.
Yeah.
Which is okay, but cheap. cheap and cheesy. What am I forgetting? There's some other good ones, I think.
One of my favorites is Toy Soldiers,
Okay.
which is Die Hard in a School, I guess you could call it.
Mhm.
I thought that was kind of underrated. I don't know if you've seen it, Vern. Have you?
I have, yeah. It's pretty fun.
Let me see. There's Die Hard.
I mean, does Cliffhanger count?
Oh, you mean
If so, that might be the best. That's up there. That's
Die Hard on
one.
a Mountain. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
there was also that Thomas Ian Griffith Crackerjack film, which was Die Hard on a Mountain. Literally, is basically the same plot points as Die Hard. Even getting Christopher Plummer to play the bad guy.
Is Executive Decision technically Die Hard on another plane?
Yeah, I was going to say that probably counts. I mean, it's definitely in that, coming out of that style of movie, whether or not it's based on the template exactly.
I mean,
Con Air.
I don't know if that's really Die Hard-ish. It's more kind of just, I don't know.
The Rock.
Yeah,
That's
Die Hard on Alcatraz.
Michael Bay's best film.
It's definitely coming out of that.
Air Force One. Die Hard on yet another plane.
Okay, that's
No,
one.
Die Hard.
that
Die
counts.
Hard with the President is what Air Force One. is.
President Die Hard.
President Die Hard. Yeah.
Die Hard 6, President McLean.
Yeah,
but I
with,
would say definitely, my favorites, the Under Siege movies and Speed are probably my favorites of those. But I just, in general, when it's well done, I enjoy that sort of template, following the Die Hard template. And Die Hard 2, and
elevates Under Siege, in your opinion, elevates Under Siege 2 to be better than Under Siege 1. Because I'm not disagreeing with you, because I fucking love Under Siege 2.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to say it's better. I just personally like it even more because it's hard to say that Eric Bogosian is better than Tommy Lee Jones, because Tommy Lee Jones is so great and having so much fun, but just it's more novel to see Eric Bogosian as the super genius villain in an action movie.
This is a guy known for being a dramatist, voice of a generation.
Mm-hmm. And he gets these great monologues and just this sardonic humor, and he gets to have a pretty hilarious death where he blows up in a fiery explosion. And you mentioned Everett McGill.
He's like in very little else. Twin Peaks,
he's
Werewolf. This
the part where he sprays the pepper spray in his mouth like it's Banaka.
And I believe it. I believe it with Everett McGill. I'm like, yep.
I need to.
Yeah, and I was thinking when you were talking earlier about Under Siege, how he works with a team. I think Under Siege 2 is a little less like that. Like he's got Morris Chestnut and
to a degree, Katherine Heigl.
And Katherine Heigl, yeah. So he's working with them, but otherwise it's just them, and he's teaching them how to aim a gun like he does with Erica Liniak.
Yeah,
and then it's a little more based in like, I'm a badass going through this train doing some cool hand moves on a guy and breaking his wrists and climbing on and it's got the part where he gets off the train and jumps that truck off of the cliff and everything.
Yeah,
I love how he's
it's
outrunning. So cool. I love how he outruns the trains that are crashing into each other just by mere feet. He's outrunning them.
Sheer force of will.
Sheer force. I told Chris this story, but this is my story. How I went and saw Under Siege 2. I was 15. This was like after my freshman year of high school. I called my buddy Bobby up because originally it wasn't going to be Under Siege 2. I wanted to see Clueless because it was a movie I could get into and it looked fun. So I'm like, hey Bobby, you want to go see Clueless? He goes, no, I want to see Under Siege 2. I go, no, I want to see Clueless. He goes, no, Under Siege 2. I said, Bobby. He goes, no, Under Siege 2. So I'm like, and me, this is in high school. I had no self-esteem, no backbone. I'm like, all right, fine, we'll see Under Siege 2. So I had my dad buy the tickets, and that's how we got in. A lot of great R-rated movie stories with Bobby. But that's how I saw Under Siege 2, and I felt like I was getting away with something because I was watching this incredible action film with no parents around me. I know that's silly to hear, but Under Siege 2 was like, it almost felt like a rite of passage watching a Seagal action film in the theater, not just on video, you know, because, it feels more like an accomplishment when you see it in a theater before you're 17.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my first Seagal theatrical experience, and it might have been my last. I'm not sure, because that was towards the Nader.
Well, I mean, he has two more years of stuff. But again, like we've already kind of mentioned,
I saw everything after that.
I would hope so.
Fire Down Below. I mean, in the theater, yeah.
Oh,
Fire
yeah.
Down,
I mean,
Fire Down Below, I love. As far as I guess, Machete was his last one that played in theaters.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah. If that counts.
Fire Down Below. My favorite thing about Fire Down Below is how many just like country western singers are in that movie.
Yeah, that's the country. That's Seagal's country movie.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Mark. Was it Mark Colley, Chris Christopherson, Travis?
Villain,
Travis Tritt, Marty Stewart, Randy Travis. Like what?
Loretta Lynn's twin daughters are in it.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's right. I remember the first time. I think the first Seagal movie I ever saw was Fire Down Below. And because I remember seeing the preview, and it's like, this summer, Steven Seagal is fire down below. And I was like, fuck, this is great. Like, whatever the fuck this is. This was like 2018. I was just on Apple TV, just scrolling through trailers. I was like, fuck, this looks cool. But it's that whole thing with all the country western singers is strange. Cool, but strange.
Back on the Under Siege topic, it's interesting how this is kind of like, we're discussing how this is kind of like his big push into the mainstream and kind of more for normal people to watch. But he's still, when he's in the military, he's still allowed to just wear normal black clothes. He gets criticized for it, but he just wears his black shirt and he just gets to talk back to everyone. And he's legendary because he punched out his
CO.
CO, yeah.
Yeah, he punched out his CO because his CO wasn't doing a good job.
Are you talking about the time where they got the bad intel information and he punched him when he got back? Or are you talking about when he punched Gary Busey?
Oh, the first one, but he also punches Gary Busey. That's true.
Yeah.
But Gary Busey's got a loogie in his booyah base, so.
Yeah. I just love this idea of Steven Seagal making how much did he say? How much goddamn bouillabaisse base was he making?
It was a big fucking pot of bouillabaisse. I know, but
he says it to the commander, Patrick O'Neill's character. He's like, Captain, I have like 50 gallons of bouillabaisse to make. Like, what? Fuck, of course.
And they ruin all those pies. That's just wrong.
I'm asking you, man, take my pies out. Take out my pies.
They could have enjoyed those pies. There's no reason to let them burn.
No.
Okay, one thing. Did he even give a reason why he didn't want to change into a tire? Or was he just being a stubborn asshole?
I think it's just to show that even when he's in the military, he's an individual, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, just change your fucking attire. You're not kowtowing to the man here. You're just showing respect for a captain's party.
Steven Seagal is an individual man, huh? Is that what they
And another thing, they gave him the most fucking obstinate, stubborn guy to watch him while he's in the freezer.
I wanted to talk about that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I hear gunshots. Check it out. Ugh.
It's just champagne, bro.
I think that guy is a really accurate portrayal of a certain type of like bootlicker kind of guy that's like, he's just believes what he was told. And he's like this, you know, he doesn't believe Seagal and assumes he's lying to him.
I just love how the part where he rolls his eyes, sighs, and goes, Ryback. Just like, dude, there's fucking gunshots. You're not even going to check?
Tom Wood is much better in The Fugitive than he is in this movie. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, is that who that is?
Yeah, he plays one of he ends up being with Tommy Lee Jones in The Fugitive on the squad of people that go to catch Harrison Ford. And then he's in
U.S.
that
Marshals?
sequel. Yeah, and then he's the guy.
Okay, cool.
He's the guy that dies in U.S. Marshals.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen those in a while. But
I haven't seen U.S. Marshals because it just didn't look very interesting.
It's so good. It's so good,
man. You gotta watch it. But,
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
All I know is that Robert Downey Jr. turns out to be one of the bad guys.
He's the bad guy.
Oh, he is. Oh, okay.
That's when casting Robert Downey Jr. in your movie meant nothing. So he could be the villain.
Sure.
Although I do love a good Joey Pants film, so I'll probably check it out.
I sincerely, though, I think that character is really, you know, he's very hateable, but in a way that I feel is very recognizable as a real type of person. Like, my favorite part is when he hears the gunshots and he finally listens enough to be like, oh, I should go check on that. And then they tell him like, oh, it's just party poppers. And then he comes back and says to Seagal, yeah, he's like, it's just party poppers. Like, he's telling them like, you're a fucking idiot. You believe that it was guns. It's party poppers.
Let's
we heard the party poppers in the kitchen of this ship on the deck, guy.
let's go back here. This man has military training. This subordinate.
Supposedly.
I assume he's fired a gun.
Theoretically.
I'm assuming he knows how to fire, so he knows how loud a gun is. I assume he's been around party poppers, so I assume he knows how loud a party popper is. I have never heard a party popper that you would have to wear ear protection to use.
I don't know, Vern. This might be one of those characters that like is birthed like pre the scene that they're in. You know what I mean? Like this doesn't feel like a real person. This feels like an actual like baby on screen. Like I don't believe the most obvious things. Like sometimes I'm just like, this is unfortunately a plot contrivance in character form. They didn't need a character there at the door for Seagal because he could have just escaped the freezer.
That's true, but I disagree about the character. Like I really believe there are people like Ryback is correct. Like he's blindly following authority and he just believes what they tell him. They're like, this guy's a psycho, and he just believes that, even though any reasonable person would know not to trust Gary Busey.
Oh yeah,
but
have you seen the guy?
But he just has allegiance to power. You know, it's just like people that will believe anything when police kill somebody, and then they'll just believe what the police say about it. You know, he's one of those type of guys.
And this again goes to our unfortunate state of where Seagal is now compared to where he is then. In Under Siege, he's talking about not listening to authority. You know, be your own man. Don't listen to them. And now he's
senior bootlicker, comrade bootlicker. I think is what they would probably
hanging out with dictators.
Yeah. It's very strange. The Seagal dictator thing. Like again, for a guy who had his on deadly ground moment, it's some cognitive dissonance that like I truly don't get it. Like,
well, don't forget on deadly ground, he blew up a fucking oil tanker while also espousing the environmental effects.
How else are you going to stop them?
He imploded it so that the oil wouldn't get into the water. Of course. That's what you do.
But the smoke didn't cause any damage?
Correct.
Okay.
He's an expert, okay? He did a 1-hour speech at the end of the movie that got cut out. He's an expert on these.
Chris, I am sorry. I retract my statement.
Yeah, it's true.
You heard when they said, Forrest is here. That fire is good as it's out. He's an expert. Everyone knows that Forrest Taft is the very best at putting out oil fires. So
I love it. To that point, I love in how Seagal films, there's always at least a line where someone has to mention how good he is. He's the best. Yeah.
I thought you were going to mention how great some of the names of the characters that he portrays.
Oh, like Nico Toscani
or Gino
Polino.
Gino Polino.
Mason Storm is
Mason Storm. Oh my god, that almost sounds like a character. That almost sounds like a character that one of the guys from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia would make up just to meet a woman.
I mean, in China Salesman, his name is Louder. He's. I mean, at this point, he's been in so many movies. What are these going to call him? John Smith? Like, come on, we got to give him something.
Yeah.
Lots of Jacks and like his early movies. He's like Jack, John, Austin, Cole, Taggart, or Jack Cole and Jack Taggart sound like the same name as far as I'm concerned.
Casey Ryback sounds like a drink you order at the bar.
Casey Ryback's a good name.
Casey Ryback is a great one. Because they could call him Ryback, and like it just sounds cool as fuck.
I'll have a whiskey with a Ryback. I don't know.
I would really like somebody to do a study of all action movies and find out what percentage the hero is named either John or Jack, because it's probably pretty high. It's probably pretty high.
Back to the fan film of Die Hard.
Jack Slater.
Die Hard 5. Don't they yell each other's names throughout the damn film? Jack, John, Jack, John. Yeah, so there's two right there. There's two right there.
I've never seen it. I don't know what it is.
What is it? What is that real?
Wait a minute. Did I just admit that it existed?
Yeah,
no,
did.
It's still a fan film. No, it's a fan film. Sorry, I didn't. Oh God, forgive me. John McTiernan, forgive me.
John McTiernan. So Vern, you had mentioned something before we started talking, and I wanted to ask you about it now that we're sitting having this discussion about Seagal. You had mentioned that your book had a finite end because obviously you're not still writing it. It is out. People can go buy it. You had mentioned that people have asked you to, hey, Vern, why haven't you, brought us up to speed on Seagal's most recent films? And I know you had mentioned like, oh, you know, what is your answer to those people, I guess? And can we expect that you will bring another Seagalogy book to the world at some point? What do you think?
I would like to do it someday. The answer used to be that it was up to the publisher, Titan Books. But then last year when I was doing my taxes, I realized that my contract with them had expired, and and so they no longer own it. So I actually could update it if I wanted to.
Nice.
But I you know, you guys have talked about how you've watched the most recent ones, so you've actually seen some Seagal movies that I have not seen, because there was a point around 2016 when I started to become very disillusioned with a combination of Seagal, you know, like hanging around with Putin and kind of spreading the disinformation campaign that Putin was promoting during the election, combined with the fact that he did 2 movies in a row that seemed designed just to make him be able to sit down in a chair for the whole movie.
Oh, we've done a couple of those.
Boy, have I got some prospective films for you, sir.
One of them the first one was Sniper Special Ops, and I think Code of Honor might have been the second one. I forget, but
is that one of the sequels to Sniper Special Ops, or is that just?
It's not no. The Sniper franchise is innocent. It is not related to Sniper Special Ops. Okay. But yeah, it seemed like he figured out, oh, I can play a sniper, then I could just film some scenes sitting down in the top of a tower and not have to work with other actors or stand up. And it really bummed me out. But then also, I'm sure you've probably discussed that there were rape allegations that came out.
Yeah.
That were not only, of course, horrible, but also like even happened during my favorite movie of his, making it even more, you know, painful. Yep. And so, you know, because of those things, I really have kind of not been keeping up with his movies, which I don't want to say like that I'm not against anyone watching them, and I think I do want to watch them sometime in the future, but I just have you know, had negative feelings about it because of that. But so therefore, you know, I've seen parts of his movies, but this is actually watching Under Siege the other day is actually, I think, the first time in a few years that I've sat down and watched an entire movie by him. So thank you for giving me the reason to do that, because, you know, it just reminds me how much I love at least those old ones, and I'm able to, in my mind, separate it from that.
During the recording of the first couple podcasts we did, I was thinking to myself, wow, we're sure talking a lot about the allegations and the down parts of Seagal. I mean, the unfortunate part is, you know, this is a podcast about Seagal, but you can't really talk about him without discussing the elephant in the room. And
especially not in 2021.
No, especially not in 2021.
I mean, look, it's unfortunate, but it's an unfortunate reality of the industry.
You have to recognize that the man has allegedly done some horrible things. But us as podcasters and movie film critics, we have to separate the man from the films. So
I would go as far as to say it's a personal choice. We don't have to, because I don't listen to Michael Jackson anymore.
I prefer to separate the man from the film, because if we don't, I'm afraid it would be all shitting on Seagal films forever because of what he's done. But I can't deny. But I can't deny that I love Out for Justice. I love Under Siege. I love Marked for Death. Those are really fun action films that hold up 30 years after the fact, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, I try to be as fair-handed as possible. But, you know, we do have to acknowledge the problems as well as the accomplishments.
Yeah. And I have an easier time when I'm talking about Out for Justice or Under Siege, you know, we're talking about this old movie, but if I review his new movies as they come out, then I'm promoting, you know, encouraging people to possibly give money to support his career, where he's, you know, allegedly getting away with a horrible thing that he's done by hiding out in Russia and filming movies where he sits down in a chair with a sniper rifle.
Yeah,
or just a handgun, or just talking to people, because, you know, if you can make money by sitting down, I mean,
what was the film?
But if people are paying him to do that, that's on them.
What was the film we watched where basically he just sat at the table the whole fucking time.
General Commander.
That's what I thought it was.
Or no,
Okay.
no, that's Beyond the Law. Beyond the Law is the one where he is literally sitting the entire.
He's playing. I believe he was playing like a mob boss or something, and he just sits
correct.
there. Yeah, your premonition came true. He's working in that direction. It seems like he's just wanting.
But we have given his later works positive reviews. I mean, we talked about Attrition in a very positive light.
I've heard good things about that. Yeah, actually, I kind of got sidetracked and didn't quite. I don't have any immediate plans for it, but I do think that someday I would like to watch all these movies and analyze them, and maybe it would be either to do it on my website, or if it was a book, then I think it would be kind of a follow-up book that would be probably called Seagalogy 2 Dark Territory, in order to
oh my god, yes!
But it would be looking at these movies with the new understanding of, not trying to make excuses for him as a person, and just analyzing the movies based on our understanding of how, the dark side of all this.
And you should get Richard to do your foreword.
Speaking of
Richard would be over the moon. I mean, you know what happened with that script. That script was changed. The story Richard told on our Under Siege 2 episode that we did on my show is the only line of dialogue in the entire movie that Richard had is, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captor speaking." That's the only piece of dialogue that survived. Maybe the best line. It's the best line in the movie, right?
But was it Matt Reeves Matt Reeves was his partner, though, right? It wasn't him that... Did Matt Reeves rewrite it, or someone else did?
Someone else did.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's this whole, problematic thing, because, Richard's like, oh, I love that it's made my career, put me in a position to where I am all this stuff, but, also it was not our movie in many ways.
Speaking of subtitles for things, when I was at San Diego Comic-Con back in, 08 or 09, they were asking for people to nominate subtitles for the second Sharknado film, and my submission was Sharknado 2 Into Sharkness, or Sharknado 2 Shark Territory.
Shark Territory.
I thought that was and they didn't pick it, unfortunately, because they're unoriginal assholes.
They don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
but
they're not connoisseurs of fine cuisine like we are.
Fuck them. One question: are there any other action stars that you would think about writing a book on and going over their career?
Yeah, a lot of people always ask me if I would do Van Damme, and for a long time I said that I wouldn't, because I didn't think it would work in the. I mean, I still believe it wouldn't work in the same way as with Seagal, because it's not the same. Seagal is unique in that I see him as being kind of an auteur, in that he puts certain themes in almost every movie that he ever makes, and that's kind of what I was analyzing in the book. So I wouldn't be able to have the same approach. I have tried to do a Van Damme. There was a point where I decided I'm going to do a Van Damme book, and then I just feel like I haven't really cracked the right approach to do it. But I would like to do that someday, because I think he's great and interesting and continues to make good movies.
Yeah, he does.
And there's another one that I actually don't want to say, because I've been kind of keeping it secret, but there is another kind of less obvious one that I really would like to write a book about.
Michael J. White?
I'm like, no, but I mean, he's awesome.
I know, but just you mentioned him a couple times. That's why I was just putting you on the spot. I love Adkins,
but it's somebody else. I won't say.
I wasn't asking. You had mentioned Michael J. White 3 times. I was just giving you a hard time.
Can I suggest a title? Can I suggest a title for the Van Damme book if you ever get around to writing it?
Mm-hmm.
Van Damme Nation.
Okay.
No? Okay. I
tried. I was thinking of some kind of subtitle of the Split's personality.
Oh, nice. Yes.
But I don't think that would.
And I hope if you write the book.
I was trying to do a duality thing of showing the two sides of him, because there's so many twins and clones and things.
Yeah, you could you could basically just use the poster for what was that called again?
Double Impact?
Double Impact, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I get that confused with Double Team, but that's the one with Dennis Rodman.
That's a classic.
I hope if you write the book that you're easy on Street Fighter, because that's a guilty pleasure of mine.
Vern, you mentioned you haven't cracked the Van Damme code yet. how when you were, because you mentioned it a little bit, and I'm very curious as someone who also writes, what brought you to cracking the code with Seagal? Because you mentioned this board that you had. Was that kind of the steps that you took to get all that information together?
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, it seemed to make sense that it really was almost like a code that I was like a mathematical
formula.
Yeah, like a math. I'm terrible at math, so that's why it made sense in my head. But it seemed like almost it was a mathematical. Like if I analyzed every one of the movies that he had made, that I would understand this what I was looking at on this chart. I think with Van Damme, it's like with Seagal, it really made sense to go chapter 1 above the law, and that just each movie is a chapter. But with Van Damme, it's like each movie that he does in a row is going to be usually really different from the last one, and I think maybe I'd have to bring together related movies, like maybe a chapter that's all of his movies working with Hong Kong directors, or starting with all the movies he made with Cannon. I don't know. I've tried different approaches that I didn't feel like were working, but someday.
And Schwarzeneggerology is just too on the nose, right? Because what is there to say about Schwarzenegger that hasn't been said?
Yeah, he's a pretty open book, that guy.
Yeah. I mean,
what is there to say that hasn't already been said? That's the thing about Seagal. That's the thing about Seagal, Vern, that I really appreciate about your book. And as someone who does a podcast that we talk about movies that don't get enough love, I love that you go into each of these streaming, DTV, whatever you want to call them, movies. I love that you go into it and you give each of those movies a chapter, and you don't just say, well, these are, whatever. I really appreciate that about your book. And that's one of my favorite things about your book, is that you want to read a chapter about Dragon Squad. Yeah. Or Black Dawn, that's in there. Or Today You Die. Like, that's in there. And like, who else is talking about that? Nobody. Yeah, because everybody else just goes, it's direct to video. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. I mean, sorry. Go ahead.
That's always my philosophy. And I think, I don't know why this comes to mind, but I grew up reading Fangoria magazine, and in the old days when it was a monthly magazine, I always loved that it would be like, well, this month we have to cover Dolly Dearest or whatever. Like, there wasn't always like a high profile movie for them, but they would still have like a set visit and all this super like detailed coverage. Like, to me, that's kind of like you said, it's like, I mean, I love writing. I wrote an essay about Terminator 2 and Point Break this summer, and those are, I love trying to tackle, like, what do I say that's new about this movie that everyone has discussed already? Like, I love that, but really my main thing is like you said, like trying to find something that I really love, that maybe I feel like not enough people have given a chance to, and kind of express why I'm passionate about it. And that's why one of the people I actually tried to do before was, I wanted to do a Nicolas Cage book at one point, and but like, I feel like a lot of the world has actually come around to my point of view on Nicolas Cage. So now I don't feel like it's as important for me to do that, although I'd still love writing about his movies.
I will say that Nick Cage probably took one of his, like, someone who was a detractor. I was not a fan of his. I was dragged kicking and screaming onto your side of the argument, which is what Nicolas Cage is. When he's on, and if he knows how to work with someone, or someone knows how to work with him, it's magic. I'm assuming, is that where you're coming from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or sometimes even if they don't know how, sometimes he just brings it out anyway.
Right. And then sometimes he's in Left Behind, just literally like a fucking cash grab. But like, so what? You get all that, and then you get a movie like this year's Pig, which is amazing. And it's a movie about a guy whose truffle pig gets stolen.
Yeah, I love that movie. But I think maybe not in every case, but I think more so than Bruce Willis, he'll take those roles and he'll still sometimes give an interesting performance, even in like a terrible, boring.
Well, movie. He never, like, I mean, in the Nicolas Cage films I've seen, he never seems to, I mean, Left Behind notwithstanding, because that film is the only film in Nicolas Cage's career that I've ever seen him not try. Every film he seems to bring something to it. Like, it may not be the best performance, but at least he gives a performance. At least you can tell. Man. Yeah, at least you could tell he's
I don't know what that performance was, but it made no sense in that movie, but it kind of is amazing.
You can tell he's invested in a project. Yeah. He's like, I'm going to earn the paycheck, and I'm going to do what I need to do, and I'm going to, at least try this. I think he maybe acknowledges in his head that the movie he does may not be very good, but he's not going to stop. It's not going to stop him from giving it what he can to salvage it. Like I said, Left Behind being the exception because.
I mean, if you watch that movie about the Superman movie that never got made and you see those behind the scenes footage, you can tell he's genuinely excited to play Superman. And yeah, I mean, he's a huge Superman fan, but whatever. There are actors who, given that opportunity, would not have given any shits and could care less. But yet you can tell, like you guys have said, he invests himself into the performances in a way that other actors don't. And you know what? Like Steven Seagal, figured out a way in Left Behind to make a paycheck in a movie and not have to get up.
I would read a book about Nicolas Cage, actually, because I just find him that interesting of a person in general.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not just, the films, but him as a person. Because
that's the thing about Seagal, then. Like, we gravitate towards Seagal in a way, too. Because he's just kind of like an interesting human being
Cage
that just happens to be an actor.
But Cage is easier to defend.
Well.
I don't know. I think maybe because of the terrible things that have been learned about him, maybe it wouldn't happen. But I've always thought I would never write a biography of him because I don't feel qualified to do that. But it would be a super interesting read if someone really did a real biography of his life.
Yeah.
He strikes me as like very Tommy Wiseau-ish in a way. Like Tommy Wiseau is very cagey when someone's like, "Where are you from?" Like he's like, he just kind of shrugs and goes, "Hey, everybody, hilarious." And like, that's Seagal, like you were talking about it, Vern, where he's like, the Russia and Native American. Like, no, what? No. Like, it's like self-reinvention is a thing that seems like is very important to Seagal. Because I think at one point in his career, is it the Glimmer Man where he's like, I don't want to kill anyone on screen for a while?
I think that was the one because in that film, he's playing a Buddhist.
Yeah.
And he's got Keenan Ivory Wayans as a sidekick, which is like, what?
I mean, Steven Seagal is I will say in those early movies, at least, he's very true to himself. Maybe to a fault.
I mean, Steven Seagal. For better or worse.
He had a fighting style that was new. He had a fashion that was nobody else followed.
Yeah.
He had a ponytail.
Now I play guitar also. And
he had a ponytail that could not be beat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
he was a trendsetter for trends that he still follows. But
you cannot
Nehru
deny.
jackets did not catch on. Nobody's wearing Nehru in 2021.
But I mean, I like weirdos. I think.
Yeah.
I guess you mentioned before we have the same issue with Michael Jackson, but Michael Jackson was, my favorite growing up, and I like my whole life really. And if we set aside what people
allegedly,
what has been alleged, just like everything about him was so unique and bizarre, and people always held that against him. But to me, that was also what was cool about him. And or in a more positive light, we can say Prince was very much an individual, and I just really So I really gravitate to people like that, and I'm definitely not trying to argue that Seagal is on the level of Prince or anything, but I like iconic weirdos.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Well, I think I gravitate towards weirdos myself because, I am a weirdo. I always, because seriously though, I've always felt very much an outlier, an outcast, especially during my high school years. I felt very much out of it. So you kind of want to defend the people who don't feel like they're being defended.
And also these are people who they're weirdos, and then they made it cool. Like within their world, you're like, Prince is wearing a bizarre thing, but he steps on the stage and he's like the coolest motherfucker you've ever seen in your life.
Right.
Oh, hell yeah.
And to a certain extent, when Seagal was at his height and people really liked him, that was what it was too. It was like this dude with the ponytail and the weird shirts, and they're like, that guy is so cool. Like that was kind of the aura that he created.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to live in a universe, like an alternate reality where Seagal is the one who became immensely successful in the 90s. And like his career, like imagine if Seagal was like Tom Cruise in a way, right? Like he's just kind of always been around doing things and popping up and kind of having peaks and valleys. Because Seagal has never it's been this. It's like a little. I mean, it's unfortunate. Yeah. Like it's sad, and it's kind of sad in a way again, who he is notwithstanding, you wouldn't want this to happen to anyone in their career if they had this taste of immense success and then it kind of just fizzled out. But there's a universe where he was the most successful guy and he's still doing things now, and that I wonder what that would be like.
Yeah, it definitely seems like his personality was a barrier to that because
He just seems kind of like a prick.
Reasons. But yeah, but then at the same, and that's a good thing if our world is punishing people for being pricks. I'm in support of that, even though I love his movies. But he's also very unusual in that he started at the top. Like he was Michael Ovitz's Aikido teacher, and then Michael Ovitz gave him a screen test, and his first movie is Above the Law, where he's the main character, and it has elements based on his life or things that he claimed about his life. And but some of it definitely is verifiably real things about his life. And that was his first, he had done a little bit of behind the scenes, but his first acting role is Steven Seagal and so,
they made it a big deal that he was in that movie.
It's almost unheard of how his career had went.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know anyone to compare that to.
I mean, none of his contemporaries had that. None of his contemporaries were like thrust into the. I mean, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Van Damme.
Yeah, Van Damme was in Breaking.
Yeah,
Schwarzenegger did like the Hercules films. Stallone did Italian Stallion, which was called something else. I forgot. But yeah,
Party at Kitty
and Kyle's or something.
Something like that.
Something like that. But even they started out kind of more bit parts. But Seagal out of the gate got Above the Law.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
so
wow.
At least he didn't have to work as hard for it.
Yeah.
But he didn't. But I give him credit. He didn't half-ass it in his first role. He was like, I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this this gift I've been given, and I'm going to show them what I got, and I'm going to fight.
To be fair, he was a stunt. He was a stunt coordinator before all this.
Yeah, and
but only on like 2 movies though.
Yeah,
He supposedly broke Sean Connery's wrist. Right?
Yeah, that's the big.
Wasn't that for Never Say Never Again or something?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then he did something on The Challenge, right? That's the other one.
That's where they credit him as Steve Seagal.
Oh yeah.
Friends with Steven call him.
He probably wouldn't like to be called Steve.
Stevie?
Yo, Stevie
Seagal.
Yo, Stefan.
And I mean, Vern, to your point, this guy being, a unique individual, please tell me this Schwarzenegger TV show where he is a lawman, like stuff like that. Like please tell me about, I guess Bruce Willis is not an example we can use for a music career. Welcome back, Bruno. But
I have that album, by the way.
So do I.
I did too.
Yeah, the 3 fans of Welcome Back, Bruno.
Have you seen the movie?
I have it on tape. I have it on VHS.
Movie?
Yeah, Return of Bruno is like
it was like an HBO special.
It's a mockumentary about his great career.
And they interview a bunch of celebrities to talk about Bruno and how prolific he was as a songwriter. And the one I remember most was like Michael J. Fox.
Wow. I have not seen that. But I mean, like Schwarzenegger's musical career, stuff like that. Like Seagal is the consummate weirdo guy. Like consummate, just like he is. If again, like you said, Vern, as we come to a close here, we have to again make a statement about Steven Seagal as a bad guy because he allegedly has done a lot of bad things and he should be punished. But he's a weirdo, and he's never been not true to. He's always true to himself, and we can't hold that against him for good or for bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because him being himself meant that he didn't get all these roles that he could have gotten. Because, like you said, Vern, his personality got in the way of his success, and he's being true to himself, and he's not playing ball with people. So. Yeah,
at least he never did a movie where he's like babysitting some kids and it's a comedy.
At least he never did a film where his mom comes to visit and she finds his gun.
I mean, there's a universe somewhere where Steven Seagal and Sinbad are the leads of Jingle All the Way. And ladies and gentlemen, I would pay to see that movie.
Oh my God, I would too.
I mean, Jingle All the Way is great, but to your point, Vern, like, I guess it's probably a good thing we never got the Steven Seagal Crisis of Faith where he's cast in a children's comedy. Like,
or a Steven Seagal is pregnant film.
I won by Larry.
I wasn't trying to Schwarzenegger. I was thinking more of like the the Tooth Fairy and
Yeah. I know.
and the pacifier and stuff like that. But
another Die Hard movie, a literal Die Hard movie, Skyscraper, Die Hard on a building.
I think over the years, as being known as the Seagal guy, there's certain things that everyone has to talk to me about, like the story about him getting choked out and shitting his pants and stuff like that. I won't go into that. If you'll run into it eventually.
I think that was told
you're
by
talking the Gracie thing, right?
Wasn't it like Sammy the Bull Gravano or something like that?
It's Judo Gene LaBelle.
That's the one. Okay.
Sammy the Bull Gravano.
There's a lot of
I know, but that would be amazing. Steven Seagal getting into a fight with Sammy the Bull Gravano. We know how that would end.
Some mob guy on YouTube was telling a story about Steven Seagal shitting his pants, and I thought it was Sammy the Bull. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
He did. There was a thing with mobsters, and then there's also a story about him showing somebody crying, reading a script, and showing him and the script, and then he wrote the script. And there's certain story, like negative stories about him that become legendary that everyone has to go, oh, like tell me about it, as if I haven't heard it before. But one of them is that one of those facts is that when he hosted Saturday Night Live, like everybody said that he was the worst. Everyone, all the Saturday Night Live people say he was the very worst. And so anyway, that may explain why he didn't follow the Schwarzenegger path. I told this doing some comedies.
I mentioned the Saturday Night Live thing in one of the podcasts where he had actually pitched a sketch where he plays a therapist and Victoria Jackson plays a rape victim or a sexual assault victim, and all through the sketch, Steven Seagal's character tries to hit on her, and apparently he thought that was funny. So apparently he was.
I don't think it would have worked.
Had you heard that one, Vern?
Have you heard that story though? Where
I've heard. I forget where that came from, but
yeah, he's like never invited back again.
I know there's a Saturday Night Live book that mentions. I think David Spade says something, and I know Bob Odenkirk has told stories about it and stuff. So.
Yeah.
I mean, the story is it? Tom Segura also has a. Isn't he the one who tells a bunch of Seagal? Everybody's got like a Seagal story. I mean, even Richard has his Seagal story, but I mean,
John Leguizamo's Seagal story.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Where he basically like chokes him out on the set of Executive Decision or something.
And Tom Arnold actually recently came out with a good one.
Oh really?
involving him jumping off a boat, getting tricked into jumping off a boat.
Wow.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, Seagal's everybody. It seems like everybody has a run-in with him, or has an opinion on him, or forgets that he still exists in the world. I don't know. I mean, you go ask 10 people if they know where Steven Seagal is, and probably 9 of them would say, "I thought he was dead." So it's strange. It's unfortunate, but yeah.
So why
he's gotten in his own way a lot.
We may have already answered this question. So why do you think that he has the appeal? For people like us, for a small cult following, because he's the weirdo?
I think also just it's like everything we've been talking about makes him stand out as a unique. His movies are unique. The way that he just plows through everybody is unique. The fact that he uses Aikido, and so it's a very blunt, like fast style that's different from Van Damme's flying kicks and stuff. Which I'm not saying one is better or worse than the other, but it really stands out as being a different sort of thing. Like in Under Siege, the way that he's like waving the knives around is so weird, and then just his whole persona of being a weirdo, like we're talking about, and just it just creates a very unique thing. So when he's really firing on all cylinders with a great director like we have here and like a good script, then it just becomes, obviously they just stand out among those movies that we love.
I will agree with you. His fighting style is definitely fascinating to watch whenever he gets into his groove and does what he does best in his fighting style. It's fascinating to watch, and it's almost like choreography, like ballet and dancing, not to be cliche about it, but he definitely has the technique to it that's just beautiful to watch.
Mm-hmm. And when you have him in something like Attrition, he's even better. I mean, that movie plays to his strengths. I really think he should be working in Asian cinema, because like if he is as good at Aikido as we know he is, he could be like really raking in the money in Asian cinema, just playing like the grizzled old teacher or X something or other. Like I've always found it strange that like, yeah, he's doing like streaming stuff, but it's like all these like very samey things. Like Asian cinema with his background would be something for him that I would assume would probably be worth his time.
I think a director like John Woo would really make Steven Seagal something to do. I mean, he would really, I think, probably highlight Steven Seagal's strengths as well
have
as.
Have either of you seen Belly of the Beast yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so you'll come to that eventually. That's his only like real Hong Kong kind of movie, because it's Ching Su Tong, the great choreographer and director, and it's
Right.
and it's done like kind of, I believe, after Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and stuff, and it has there's a part where he fights a guy who's doing like wire fu, but he's just standing there and doing his aikido on him, and it's like, it's a cool movie because it's a combination of like having some really well done stuff and just being really crazy. And
I can't wait to get to that one.
yeah, it's one of maybe my favorite of his straight to video. Definitely one of his most interesting straight to video ones.
So, Vern, I want to give you the final say on Under Siege, but I will ask you your final thought on Under Siege, and the movie that you anticipate we will not like the least of the ones that you watched. Which one do you think is probably going to be the hardest for us to stomach?
Did you already see Sniper Special Ops?
No.
Okay, I'm going to say that one and Against the Dark, which you want.
Oh, the vampire film.
The vampire movie.
You want it to be good because it's Seagal versus vampires, but you'll discover why it doesn't live up to that. But I guess, yeah, those are my least favorite that I've seen. And then my final thought on Under Siege is that there's a part where he's climbing down a giant chain, and I like to look at that and pretend that he's actually really small, like a borrower. He's a borrower or one of the littles.
Oh God!
Vern!
Thank you for mentioning the littles. I remember that show.
Oh my God! Just the non sequitur of the fucking year.
Honey, I
just like to imagine that he's really small.
Honey, I Shrunk the Seagal.
I would watch that movie.
Hell
Seagal as Ant-Man.
With Rick Moranis. Come on, man.
And Rick Moranis is the villain in this movie?
Sure. Oh, that would be a good choice. Come out of retirement for Under Siege 3.
Yeah. Wow. I would watch that movie. Man. Huh. Well, you know what? If we ever get Under Siege 3, which we might.
Be Rick Moranis.
It's got to be Rick Moranis.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's write the script and make it make a studio note: Rick Moranis or nothing.
That's fair. So Vern, thank you for joining us so much.
Yes,
again, your Seagalogy book is kind of what put me down this path, because again, it came very highly suggested from a friend of ours, the friend that put Trevor and I in contact, our friend Mike White of the Projection Booth podcast. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for writing Seagalogy from the bottom of our hearts. And if people want to find you and your extensive works, where can they go to find you if you want them to find you?
Yeah, I'm at outlawvern.com, and I post 4 movie reviews a week, pretty much, specializing in action, but I do a lot of horror and just everything else. I get into different phases. Right now I'm doing summer of 1991 movies, which I'm almost done with. And I'm also on Twitter and Letterboxd, Patreon. And thanks a lot for having me. It was fun, and
thank you.
Would like to apologize for calling Trevor Terry earlier and confusing everyone.
It's okay.
I didn't catch it, but now when I listen through and edit, I'm gonna listen.
I caught it and I let it go. I'm like, am I going to tell the guest what
Terry.
the hell did you just call me?
Did you call me Terry?
Because we want to have him back, so I don't want to alienate the dude. I mean, come on.
But yes, it was. Thank you very much. It was fun, and I would be happy to come back sometime.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, like I said, this is for me. Whenever I work on a podcast, and Trevor knows this, like there are people that I want to have on that are like the Mount Rushmore of people for the show. Mm-hmm. You are next to Seagal in this podcast.
Yes. Since the beginning, you were the one. Maybe we
could have like one head separating us just for safety.
Buffer head?
Yeah.
William Sadler.
William Sadler's head. Sure, why not?
I'll accept that.
Or no, Keith David's head, because like you mentioned, he's the best sidekick that Seagal has.
I would like Keith David to be next.
Should we give our ponytail up, a ponytail.
Oh yeah, no ponytail or no ponytail. I guess we're all three in agreement. Ponytail,
Yeah, we're all
and Under
ponytails.
Siege, right?
Yeah, it's
okay.
it's a great movie.
Okay.
I don't know if it's his best movie, but for a lot of people, it's probably the only Seagal movie they've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's probably his most accessible movie.
Yeah,
That or My Giant.
yeah, or his stellar turn in Fire Down Below, where he kills Chris Christopherson, or I guess he locks him up, but he kills Randy Travis by shooting him in the neck. So there.
Oh shit! Now I got to see this movie.
Yeah, that's fucking
Fuck
wild,
Randy
man.
Travis.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. Trevor, where can people find you?
People can find me at Twitter at Bad Vertigo. You can find me on Instagram at Mad Vertigo. And you can find me once a month, on the Kulturecast with my friend here, Chris Stachiw. And that's about it, because really I got nothing else to going on.
And as for me, cstachiw.com is where you can go to find my stuff. That's my link tree. All the links to all the things that I work on go there. So that's where you can go if you have an interest in going there. And on Seagal.com is where you can find this show. We are also on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook if you want to go there, or you just go to On Seagal and listen to the show. It's not that we don't interact on social media, but we're still posting the show. So the show's not going anywhere.
Stay tuned for our next episode. We will be discussing the Seagal film Cartel.
Cartels.
Ooh.
Cartels.
With a Z or S.
With an S. I wish it was a Z. That would be like early 2000s.
That's true.
It does have George St. Pierre in it. So
Oh, okay.
Seagal has a minor role, is what Wikipedia says, but he has a centerpiece on the posters. So
That doesn't mean anything.
Yep, that's true. Who knows? But yeah. And again, Vern, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes,
Catch
thank
you
you.
on the next
You're welcome. Thank you.